So James Conyers is a remarkable human being. He really is. He has got the most incredible magnetic charisma about him. You know why? Because he has got one of the most wonderful, pure, loving, kind hearts of any human being I've ever met. He is just, he attracts people to him because they can see he's an authentic, loving, kind man. And yet he's done a lot in business with that kind of attitude. So James and Shelley used to live in Joburg. He built up his own marketing company there. And then through circumstances, James and Shelley, I like to say they retired to Port Elizabeth. Not quite, James, but they moved down to PE to just focus on family, focus on a slower life, focus on a life where they could invest more time with each other. They've got a beautiful young son named Jimmy, little Jim. I love little Jim. You know, how old is Jim now? He's 10. He's 10. So most 10-year-olds, if a parent walks into a room unannounced and they catch them, they'll be watching something on Netflix or on the iPad playing a game or something. James sent me the most awesome photograph. He walked into the bedroom. Jimmy was lying on the bed and he was watching the Model Explained video. Mark my words, 10-year-old Jimmy Conyers is going to be the biggest agent in EXP in 10 years' time. Yes. So James moved to PE. He then bought the Conyers franchise. So those of you who remember Conyers, that's a commercial brand. They have subsequently left South Africa, but James owned the Conyers in Port Elizabeth, built a very good business with a very good name there. When Conyers left the country, he rebranded his business to NRG, National Realty Group, and he has built an unbelievable team in Port Elizabeth, and he has a very, very good name in that area and beyond. When EXP joined, I won't tell the story, but it was a great pleasure to show James, and James got the model immediately. Now, you need to understand, if you're a principal in this room, joining EXP, we understand has got some complexity for you. We understand that. Now, EXP do a good job of helping ameliorate that complexity, but still, for someone like James, who had a big team of agents, to move the whole team to EXP, which is what he did, you know that that man or that woman has caught the vision of this business, the vision of how this thing can grow. And that's what has happened to James's business. In the short time he's been with EXP, just over a year, the team has gone from 15 agents to close to 80 agents. Guys, that's what EXP does. It grows. It grows because the model is incredible. James has added a very mature and stable voice to our group. He has a very level head. He's got a lot of experience in the industry. I lean on him. I love him. I appreciate him. And he and Shelley have become good friends as well of ours. So the last thing I'll say about James is that he always says he's nervous to speak in public. And I always say to him, James, you're like one of the best public speakers I've ever heard, because you're going to see he's just so authentic. He's so real. Even the little, moments when he's speaking, it's just, you're going to love him by the end of today. So I know you're going to be very kind to James as I welcome him onto the stage. Jimmy, come on up there.
Yeah, jeez, that's like setting me up to fail, Steve. Thank you, my good friend, confidant, and mentor. I love you too. And Dan and your family have been very kind to me. Really, I'm actually just a small town boy, barefooted, from a tiny little diamond mining town in the middle of the desert in Namibia. So all of this to me, these bright lights and big city vibes, is very scary. So I'm going to do my best here, and I'm not a natural orator as much as Steve would like you to believe. So I am going to refer to some notes, and Lisna is an amazing speaker, and that's why she's the top-selling agent at EXP. So I must tell you, when Steve actually invited me up to speak, it was about 3 months ago, and I kind of immediately broke up into a sweat, and I've been sweating ever since. And that was 3 months ago, and it's been a long 3 months, I'll tell you that much. I've reached out to Steve a few days ago in total panic about what I could theme my speech around or what could kick it off. And he sent back one word in a WhatsApp to me. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but I'm going to try. I've never heard of it. And the word is extempore. Is that how you say it? Extempore. I don't know how to use it. I did two things. I rushed off to a dictionary, checked it out, and in horror, I found out that it meant speak freely, ad lib, off the cuff. Guys, this is 20 minutes I've got to be up here. Do you know how long 20 minutes is? So he didn't help me at all to sort my speech out. And I think that's the difference between a gifted speaker and a not so gifted speaker. We do need our notes and we do need to read. So bear with me. I tossed that idea of extempore and I've written everything down and it's word for word. I think to give you some perspective into my journey and how I've reached here, it's important for me to roll back a few years and to highlight where I've come from to where I am today. I was born and had the wonderful privilege of spending the first decade of my life in this diamond mining town in Namibia. And it was far removed from the harsh realities of what we know in the real world. It was a dream place for me to grow up. A place where we could wheelie down the main roads on our dirt-pasted BMXs, or even better, our cool chopper bikes. I don't know if any of you remember chopper bikes. I don't know if they're old enough in this hall. From one end of the main road to the other, which at the time seemed like miles and miles, but in reality was only a few hundred meters. I think we used the mirror in your story at the end of the road, Steve. But really, we could hang out at our mates' houses. We could leave our bikes in the streets for days and go back and fetch them weeks later, lying there, hadn't been touched. We could race off barefoot into the harsh desert environment with a bucket and a stick in tow to go and try and catch something for the day. And the catch of the day wasn't anything too exotic. It was something normally quite horrifying, either a scorpion or a diamond-backed puff adder, and we would come home with these homecoming gifts. And one of the most scary of all of those was a litter of abandoned jackal cubs. You can imagine my mother's horror when she arrived home to find out that her lounge had been turned into a crib for 10 6-week-old jackal pups. I wasn't popular. Then the next decade, or half a decade, I spent in my teens in Gaborone in Botswana, still dusty and dry, and spent most of our days whiling away in the pool and avoiding the finger-long acacia thorns scattered around the garden. This was a great time of my life too, a little bit busier than Namibia, but not quite daunting. Fast track to the mid-'80s and my impressionable years, and we landed up in the hustle and bustle of the big city smoke of Johannesburg. Quite the contrast for a barefooted boykie from Namibia, but quite the shock to the system as well. There were other sojourns and stops along the way, including a few years in Cape Town and Knysna, until finally settling in Port Elizabeth, or Gqeberha, a name it is still coming to terms with. I like to call it the friendly city, which is what it has been to me. And I've been there for 17 years and couldn't be happier. It's truly an incredible city. And I know a good estate agent if you ever want to move there. Anyway, I digress. You must be wondering why on earth I'm sharing all this with you. To be honest, I'm just trying to fill up my 20 minutes. So we're, how far are we? Is that counting up or down? Down, all right. I shared this with you because I want you to understand what being here up on stage with the bright lights and the hundreds of audience is so far removed from me, from the reality that I was born into. Although, I must say, my mother, bless her soul, would disagree. She was a famous soprano singer, and she would have felt that this was my rite of passage to be standing up here. Well, Mom, hope you can see me now. So you see, I really, really believe this. If this shy boy from a dusty oasis in the middle of nowhere can build a team and start reaping the success that EXP has afforded him, then anyone can. And I mean anyone can. That was just my intro. So sit back, guys, and enjoy, but don't fall asleep as I share with you the rest of my journey. Fast track through the decades to the day that changed my life forever. That day was Wednesday, the 9th of December, 2020. I was on my way out of town. I'll remember it distinctly. I was listening to some music as I do in the car, really zoned out, and the phone rings. And I answered it, as us agents do. Yeah, right? And who other than my great friend and sponsor and mentor, Stephen Johnston. Voice bellows out as it does. He's got a beautiful, rich voice. Hello, James. It's Stephen Johnston. How are you doing today? Those 10 words, and he'll teach you how to get it right. Those 10 words were the start to the rest of my life. Steve is now a great friend and sounding board. And he even lets me beat him at golf. What a guy. At the time of the call, I already ran and owned a successful real estate office in Port Elizabeth, which I'd built up over 14 years and had a small team of about 15 or so wonderful agents and admin staff, some of which are here today. Yet, after a couple of conversations with Stephen and watching a few videos, how could it be? How could this disruptive company and progressive model, how could this amazing progressive model that we all know now, how could I have not known about it? How do I make the change? What do I do with my brand? What do I do with my team? And most importantly, what do I tell my wife? She had stood by me through the trials and tribulations and blood, sweat, and tears in building up my brand. I needed complete and total buy-in from every member of my team, and that was a non-negotiable for me. I approached them, and do you know what? Every single one of them saw the vision. They bought into the vision, and they wanted to be part of it. And they supported me mostly. That's when I knew this EXP journey is for everyone. There is no better model. And if my team was ready, so was I. You will learn how my wife reacted a little bit later in my story. And before I carry on, I'd like to give a big shout out to my PE team who made it here from PE. Well done to each and every one of you. You know how much you mean to me and how special you are to me. I love you guys and I get emotional when I speak about you. So thank you, and the future belongs to you. Big love. Woo! Thank you, Christelle. It's quite nice. You can see the people in the stage. Normally you can't, it's just lights and so I'm feeling part of it. Then it started, something that affects most prospective EXP agents that have been introduced. It's called insomnia, where you can't sleep because you are so excited of the ideas and the possibilities that are swirling and mixing and going crazy in your head. And I had to be part of this. I just knew that EXP was going to take over the real estate world. But how do I do it? how do I get my team across, and how do I get continuity with my brand that I'd built up with blood, sweat, and tears? And many of you know what it takes. And so began 10 months of conversations. I'm not analytical like Lisner. I am very much an emotive and emotional person and make things kind of on the whim. But this was my future, and this was probably the last biggest property decision I'd have to make. So I took 10 months and drove Steve mad, back and forth, back and forth. And do you know what? EXP has a solution for each of my worries. The brand, my team, my wife, and everything else. So you can be an individual, you can be a team, and you can carry on with EXP. And it was so much more that rang true for me. Yes, I joined because of the incredible split from day one, and then the possibility to cap and earn 96%. I have capped and earned 96%, and a few of my team members are about to, and one of them is right here. There are no deductions on that cap. So it's 96%, not 92, 88, 86, no deductions. Is that incredible or what? Where have you ever heard of that? Yes, I joined EXP for the wealth creating stock and equity options of a NASDAQ listed company that are given to you guys. It's given to you for you doing what you do already, selling property. They give you shares. Is that crazy or what? Yes, I joined because of the mind-blowing technology and support they offer through their cloud-based technology forms and through their avatar-based EXP world. Yes, I joined because of the collaborative family environment you share with some of the top agents in the world. Yes, I joined for the powerful training EXP University offers on every subject matter and the live and current training from some of the best real estate brokers in the world. Never mind the local training and personal training we get from head office at South African level. And the management, the transaction, the onboarding, the financial, the admin staff of EXP South Africa. You all deserve a mention here. You're responsive, you're brilliant, you're problem solving, and I think those EXP agents in the audience can relate to that. Thank you guys for that. But, and there's a huge but here, none of those reasons were why I joined EXP. I would have joined for any one of them, any one of those above reasons, but none of them were the reason. I joined EXP for my yearning desire to spend more time with my family. My beautiful wife, Shelley, who's in the crowd here today, I needed to spend more time with her. I joined so I could get more time with my incredible 10-year-old son, Jimmy, who, let me tell you, is my ultimate hero. Because even with the hiccups and challenges that are thrown at him and that he has, on his short journey so far, he embraces life and charts his path, always with a massive smile on his face. These are my people. These are my people, and I want to spend more time with them. We cannot buy time, and the older I get, for some reason, time moves a little bit faster. I don't know if you guys experience it, but it's worrying. I wanted to slow down. EXP can't help me slow it down, but it can, and it is already helping me spend more time with my family. What on earth, may you ask, am I talking about? Guys, for me, it's revenue share. Revenue share is like the 8th wonder of the world. Like, no. It's like compound interest, but in a much more compact way. You can see I never studied accounting. And And I missed the compounding money boat. We weren't taught that back then. We weren't taught the discipline of saving for a few decades to reap the rewards later. So we have the opportunity in just a few years, not a few decades, to have real freedom that compounding EXP revenue can give you. And you know what we call that? E-expounding. Sorry, guys. It's not really what we call it. Seriously, though, EXP revenue share is like compound interest on steroids. This is known as revenue steroids. Sure, I'm an idiot. Sorry, man, guys. Can't help myself. I think I wrote this last night after dinner. It's simple. It's revenue share for me equals family time. And the more of it I earn, the more time I get to spend with my family. Simple. So I mentioned earlier I would share my wife's reaction to me joining EXP a little earlier, and here it is. In November 2021, I just joined. I joined in October 2021, 1 month afterwards. I hosted my first EXP event in Port Elizabeth with Steve Johnson as my guest speaker, and we split it into 2 parts. The first part, first hour and a quarter, was some lead generation with Steve, and the second part was the EXP model explained. It was an incredible event. We had a massive turnout with over 100 agents attending, which was like oversubscribed. We had to turn people away at the door. So it was such a phenomenal experience for me to see how people were so hungry for change. And these were people from outside our existing team. These are all new agents or new external agents. I was incredibly nervous. Shelley, my beautiful wife over there, and already successful and entrepreneurial businesswoman, came along to support me and to hold my hand right in the front of the hall. She's always been my biggest fan. She managed my nerves. She unscrewed the bottle of the rescue drops and forced me to take them just before my speech. And this would be the first time she would be sitting and watching a live presentation of the model explained. Up to this point, she had shown blind faith in her support for me joining EXP, and had said to me that I'd obviously thought things carefully and weighed up all the pros and cons. And because of that, she would always support my decisions. It's serious pressure, guys. She tells the story of going to the event in PE merely to support me. However, on seeing the model and really understanding it, she got so excited that she insisted I sign her up the very next day. The very next day. So we signed her up. And I must tell you, working with her in our team wasn't quite what I meant with spending more time with my family. But it's been just over a year with her, and now, and you know what she said to me the other day, driving into town. She said, "Babe, why didn't you introduce me to real estate and EXP years ago? I'm really, really loving this." If that's not testimony to what EXP can do, then nothing is. She's one of my most successful agents. Thank you, babe. Thank you for joining us. All right, I've got to finish off. So just back to EXP and its game-changing revenue share model. This model was the convincing factor for me. It gave me an option to exit the industry if I chose in a few years with passive income for the rest of my life. And in addition, and this is very important to me, the revenue share is perpetual. It's transferable at will or on your will. So you can leave a legacy for your children and your children's children. How amazing. This relieves the pressure of having to constantly close new deals. See it as a retirement plan, whether you want to achieve it at 25 or 75, something that has never been possible before in this real estate world. Make it happen. If I can be here, I'm building a team that's fast approaching 100 agents in a year and a half, then every one of you here can achieve this. I promise you, every single one of you here. So take a moment to let it soak in, or perhaps even take a photo. Look around at who's next to you, behind you, who's in this hall. This is going to be the smallest EXP convention you will ever be at in South Africa. This E-Express has left the station. It was a diesel engine, slow passenger train. It is now a bullet train bulging at the seams. Get on, guys. We are proud of you as the brave people, you as the pioneers, you as the early adopters, and hang on to your fellow agents' coattails, because this is going to be one heck of a ride. Thank you.